Leadership can be daunting, which is why this episode is wholly dedicated to improving leadership effectiveness. Welcome to the Modesta Mahiga 360 Leadership Podcast. I'm Modesta Mahiga, your host. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode in your groups. The greatest lesson that decades in corporate entrepreneurship, management consulting, board and media leadership influencing millions across the globe have taught me is no matter the stage, your leadership success hinges 100% on how well you lead yourself to influence desired people, organizational, and impact results. This is why I've dedicated this podcast to interviewing global leaders and conducting solo deep dives to uncover the mindsets, skill sets, and strategies you too can apply to increase your leadership effectiveness and influence lasting systemic transformation. So, how do you increase leadership effectiveness? In this three-part series, I'm going to share 7 steps. In this episode, we'll cover the first 2. Since there's nothing new under the sun, let's see how another great leader did it. In the easy translation of 1 Kings 3 7-9, we read the account of King Solomon, who succeeded his famous and extremely successful dad, King David. The David who slew Goliath, among other great feats. When he was promoted leader, Solomon was only 20 years old. The Bible tells us God asked King Solomon in a dream to ask for anything, and the young ruler replied, Lord my God, I am only a young man. I have not learned how to rule well. But you have now made me become king, as my father David was king. I am here as your servant to lead the people that you have chosen for yourself. It is a great nation, and it has too many people to count. So please give me a wise mind that understands things well. Then I'll be able to rule your people properly. I will know the difference between right things and wrong things. I'll only be able to rule this great nation of your people if you do that for me. Translated into today's vernacular, King Solomon said, God, I know I'm in a leadership position, but I have no clue how to lead. How do I increase my leadership effectiveness so I don't mess things up for the people and organization under my leadership? From King Solomon, we learned that the first step to increasing your leadership effectiveness is having the humility and vulnerability to admit you need help and to ask for it. There is a concept called conscious incompetence. That is, being aware that you don't have it all together and there's always more room to learn and grow. The second step to increasing leadership effectiveness is acknowledging you can only lead others as well as you lead yourself. This is a sobering reality. Before you set out to lead people, organizations, and the sphere under your influence, you will need to build your effectiveness at leading yourself. So, what does it mean to lead yourself? First, let's explore what we mean by yourself. The domain that governs yourself has 10 areas: your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, relational, financial, personal development, professional development, leadership influence, and impact, which I also like to call legacy. As you can see, this is an all-encompassing 360 view of leadership, hence my frequent reference to 360 leadership. This is a sobering, a challenging understanding that all these 10 areas are under your self leadership, and appreciation that each area of yourself affects every other area of yourself. So, to lead yourself well is to make sure you lead every single one of these 10 areas. Neglect any, and the neglected areas will compromise those you're focusing on, sabotaging your self leadership entirely. For instance, your relationships will affect your mental health, your finances will affect your impact, and your personal development will affect your professional development. You get the picture. When we speak of self leadership, we're talking about your entire 360 leadership development. As we conclude today's episode, I want to leave you with these 4 coaching questions. Number 1, which areas do you need to improve to increase your overall effectiveness at leading yourself well? Number 2, what specifically do you need to reduce or stop doing? And when do you commit to doing this by? Number 3, what specifically do you need to increase or start doing? When do you commit to doing this by? And number 4, what do you have no clue about and need help with? Where and when do you commit to getting the help? Research shows that emotional intelligence is the single most important leadership skill. Emotional intelligence models point to self awareness and self management as the foundation to building emotional intelligence, followed by other awareness and managing relationships or building relationships. This is a completely different focus from viewing leadership as the art and science of convincing others to do what you want toward achieving a desired objective. We now know you can only lead others as well as you lead yourself, and that leadership development begins with increasing your own effectiveness at leading yourself. In the second and third parts of this 3-part series, we'll explore increasing effectiveness in leading others and increasing effectiveness in leading the environment in which you, the leader, and people interact. But this is our takeaway for today. Before you ask whether you're leading others and the organization well, you need to be honest about whether you're leading yourself well. 360, because you can only lead others as well as you lead yourself. If this episode has added value to your leadership, like, subscribe, and share it with your groups. There are leaders struggling with increasing their leadership effectiveness who would be glad that you did. We want to hear your review of the podcast. Please leave a review on the platform or email your testimonial to me on connect@modestamahiga.com. Want to work with me one-on-one? Book a consultation on modestamahiga.com to learn about how we can tailor the Global Executive Coaching Program to your leadership needs. Until the next time, remember, you've got this, leader. And God, well, He's got you. Have a great one. Bye for now.